The psychology of people who don't post on social media. Have you ever noticed them? They are the ghosts in the machine, the silent observers in the deafening amphitheater of our digital lives. They have the profiles. They are on the friend lists. They are a name in your sea of followers. They see, they read, they scroll, but they do not post. They are a void in the endless stream of curated selfies, of triumphant announcements, of performative outrage. Their digital footprint is a whisper, a shadow, a question mark. You have likely scrolled past these silent profiles and felt a flicker of something, pity perhaps, or a kind of condescending curiosity. You see their inaction and you diagnose it with the easy, pre-packaged labels our culture provides. They're just shy. They're a Luddite. They must have a boring life. What are they hiding? You, a master of the caption, a connoisseur of the filter, a veteran of the endless war for digital relevance, cannot comprehend their silence. It feels like a failure, a surrender, a quiet and pathetic refusal to participate in the great, frantic, and absolutely essential game of modern life. But what if you are wrong? What if their silence is not an absence, but a presence? What if their inaction is not a sign of fear, but of a profound and terrifying form of strength? What if they are not the ones who are hiding, but are, in fact, the only ones who are truly seeing? The brutal and uncomfortable truth is that the person who does not post is not a ghost in the machine. They are the only person in the room who has noticed that the machine is a prison. Their silence is not a sign of their emptiness. It is a sign of an inner world so rich, so substantive, and so sovereign that it does not require the cheap, fleeting, and ultimately soul-crushing validation of the digital crowd. They are not at odds with society. They have simply chosen to be at peace with themselves. And in their quiet, defiant, and deeply misunderstood rebellion lies a secret and powerful teaching for us all. A forgotten map that leads out of the hollow, glittering cage of the modern self. The great performance. The persona as a digital deity. To understand the psychology of the person who does not post, you must first have the immense courage to look at the psychology of the person who does. You must be willing to dissect the very nature of the game you are so desperately trying to win. The modern social media platform is not a community space. It is a stage. It is a vast, global, and ruthlessly competitive theater for the performance of the self. And the self that we are all performing is not our true self. It is what the great Swiss psychologist Carl Jung called the persona. The persona is the social mask, the carefully curated collection of traits, beliefs, and images that we assemble to be acceptable to the outside world. It is the successful professional, the loving parent, the witty intellectual, the adventurous traveler. It is our brand. For most of human history, the persona was a part-time job. We wore it in public, at work, in formal situations. But we had a private life, an offstage, a place where the mask could come off. Social media has destroyed this distinction. It has turned our entire lives into a 24/7, high-stakes performance. There is no longer an offstage. Your vacation is not a vacation. It is an opportunity to generate content that performs the role of a person who has a perfect vacation. Your relationship is not a relationship. It is a series of curated moments that perform the role of a perfect couple. Your very thoughts are not your own. They are audition pieces, tested and refined for their potential to perform the role of a smart, virtuous, and correct-thinking individual. This is a form of psychological slavery. You are the tormented actor, the demanding director, and the ruthless critic in a play of your own making. The exhaustion you feel, that deep, soul-level weariness that no amount of sleep can cure, is the immense, unsustainable energetic cost of this lifelong performance. You are constantly monitoring, calculating and adjusting your mask to ensure it meets the perceived expectations of an invisible and ever-judging audience. And what is the reward for this exhausting performance? The like, the share, the little red notification. These are not just features, they are a sophisticated and highly addictive form of psychological currency. Each one is a small neurological hit of dopamine, a fleeting sensation of social approval, a temporary relief from the primal ancient terror of being cast out of the tribe. You are not a person sharing your life. You are a rat in a vast global Skinner box, pulling a lever over and over again for a pellet of empty approval. The brutal truth is that your beautifully curated profile is not a home. It is a cage, a gilded and exquisitely furnished prison that you have mistaken for a kingdom. The first act of rebellion, the refusal of the performance. The person who does not post is the person who has, either consciously or unconsciously, refused to participate in this play. Their silence is not a sign of their lack of a life. It is a sign that they are too busy living their life to have the time or the inclination to turn it into a performance. They are the person who eats a beautiful meal and simply enjoys it, without the anxious need to document it for the approval of others. They are the person who has a profound thought and allows it to gestate in the rich, silent soil of their own mind, rather than immediately harvesting it for the cheap currency of a tweet. This is the first and most fundamental layer of their psychology. They have an internally referenced sense of self-worth. Their identity, their sense of who they are, is not a fragile and fluctuating commodity that is determined by the daily plebiscite of the digital crowd. It is a solid, stable, and internally generated reality. They do not need to perform their intelligence because they know they are intelligent. They do not need to perform their happiness because they are genuinely engaged in the messy, imperfect, and ultimately satisfying work of building a life of meaning. They do not need to perform their virtue because they are quietly and diligently engaged in the difficult private work of becoming a good person. This is a form of power that is almost incomprehensible to the modern, externally referenced mind. It is the power of the person who does not need anything from the crowd. They are not a performer seeking applause, they are a sovereign, an artist of their own life, who is engaged in a creative act so profound and so satisfying that the opinion of the audience is simply irrelevant. This is not to say that they are arrogant or antisocial. In fact, they are often the ones who are capable of the deepest and most authentic forms of connection, because they are not constantly performing, because they are not secretly trying to get something from you. They are free to be truly present with you. They can listen with a depth and a generosity that is impossible for the person who is always, on some level, thinking about their own next line, their own next post. Their silence is not an act of withdrawal. It is an act of profound and radical presence. They have rejected the cheap, wide, and ultimately shallow connectivity of the network for the difficult, narrow, and infinitely deep connection of the soul. The second layer of silence. The guardian of the sacred. To see the non-poster as simply a person who is not performing is to only see the surface. There is a deeper, more profound, and more protective instinct at play. The silence of the non-poster is not just a refusal of the performance. It is an act of sacred guardianship. The independent mind understands a truth that the performer desperately tries to ignore. The digital world is not a safe, nurturing, and supportive community. It is a brutal and unforgiving Colosseum. It is a place of instant judgment, of context-free condemnation, of mob justice. It is a place where your most vulnerable, your most authentic, and your most half-formed thoughts and feelings will be taken, distorted, and used as a weapon against you. The person who does not post is not afraid of sharing. They are unwilling to share their soul in a space that has no soul. They understand that their inner world, their doubts, their griefs, their secret joys, their strange and beautiful and heretical thoughts is a delicate and sacred thing. It is a garden that requires patience, that requires privacy, that requires a safe and loving container in which to grow. To post these things, to throw them into the frantic, judgmental, and contextless chaos of the feed would be an act of profound spiritual violence. It would be like taking a newborn, fragile seedling and planting it in the middle of a freeway during rush hour. Their silence is the guardian at the gate of this sacred inner garden. It is a fierce and loving act of self-protection. It is a declaration that their soul is not a commodity to be consumed, not content to be judged, not a product to be liked or disliked. It is a sovereign territory, and they are its sole and absolute protector. This is a form of wisdom that is almost entirely lost to us. We have been taught that to be authentic is to be radically transparent, to live our lives with a kind of emotional and psychological exhibitionism. We have been taught that our wounds are only real if they are publicly performed, that our insights are only valid if they go viral. The non-poster knows a deeper and more ancient truth. They know that the most sacred things are the things that are kept secret. They know that the soul does not grow in the harsh, glaring light of the public square, but in the soft, quiet, and protected darkness of the inner world. Their silence is not a sign that they have nothing to say. It is a sign that they have something that is too precious, too sacred to be said in a world that has forgotten how to listen. The alchemist's furnace, the transmutation of experience into wisdom. We have now reached the deepest and most powerful layer of the non-poster's psychology. Their silence is not just a refusal of the performance, and it is not just a protection of the sacred. It is an active, creative, and profoundly alchemical process. The non-poster is not simply avoiding the digital world. They are engaged in a form of deep, internal work that the digital world, by its very nature, makes impossible. They are engaged in the sacred and difficult art of metabolizing their own experience. In our modern, performative culture, an experience is not real until it has been externalized, until it has been turned into content. We go on a hike, and our primary focus is not on the feeling of the sun on our skin or the sound of the wind in the trees, but on capturing the perfect photograph that will prove to the world that we had an authentic experience. We have a thought, and our first instinct is not to reflect on it, but to formulate it into a witty tweet. We have become externalizers of our own lives. We are no longer the subjects of our own experience, we are the publicists of it. This process of immediate externalization is the death of all wisdom. Wisdom is not the accumulation of experiences, it is the integration of them. It is the slow, patient, and often painful process of taking the raw, chaotic, and often contradictory material of your lived life and, in the silent, private furnace of your own consciousness, transmuting it into understanding, into meaning, into a coherent and integrated self. The person who does not post is the alchemist of their own life. They are the person who understands on a deep and instinctual level that an experience must first be fully lived, fully felt, and fully digested in the inner world before it can have any real meaning. Their silence is not emptiness. It is the sacred space of the alchemical furnace. It is the space where the lead of raw, undigested experience is slowly, quietly, and painstakingly turned into the gold of genuine wisdom. This is why they so often seem to possess a kind of quiet, unshakable solidity, a depth of character that feels so rare in our frantic, superficial world. It is because they are not hollow. They have an inside. They have taken the time to build a rich, complex, and deeply integrated inner world. They are not a collection of borrowed opinions and performed identities. They are a person, a whole, solid, and authentic person. Their silence is not a void. It is the stillness of a deep and tranquil ocean, an ocean that has been fed by 1,000 hidden rivers of profound internal work. The path of the inner sovereign, the choice before the modern soul. What then can we learn from these silent rebels, these quiet heretics of our digital age? Their life is not a prescription, but it is a powerful and urgent invitation. It is an invitation to question the very foundations of the game we are all so desperately trying to win. It is an invitation to ask ourselves a series of profound and deeply uncomfortable questions. What are we trading for the fleeting, empty approval of the crowd? What part of our own unique and unrepeatable soul are we sacrificing on the altar of the trend? What magnificent inner worlds are we allowing to turn into barren deserts while we are busy tending to the cheap plastic gardens of our online profiles? The path of the non-poster is the path of the inner sovereign. It is the choice to reclaim your own mind, your own attention, and your own life from the colonizing forces of the digital collective. It is not a path of Luddism or of a bitter, resentful withdrawal from the world. It is a path of conscious, deliberate, and joyful reorientation. It is the path of learning to be the primary audience for your own life. It is the art of cultivating a rich and satisfying inner world, of finding your joy in the process of your own becoming. Rather than in the applause of the crowd, it is the courage to be silent in a world that is screaming, to be still in a world that is frantic, to be deep in a world that is shallow. It is the choice to be a mystery rather than a brand. This is the path. It is a lonely path. It is a path that will not win you followers or retweets. It will not make you influential in the shallow sense of the word, but it is the only path that will keep your mind and your soul alive in an age that is dedicated to their extinction. The world offers you a simple and devastating bargain, your soul in exchange for a fleeting sense of belonging. The path of the independent mind is the refusal of this bargain. It is the choice to be a flawed, complex, and often lonely sovereign, rather than a popular, polished, and utterly empty slave. It is the choice to be a quiet and perhaps unheard voice, rather than a loud and perfect echo. And in that choice lies the last and most sacred hope for a future in which the human mind is not just a beautiful memory, but a living, breathing, and world-creating force.